Hello! Welcome to Flak.
Hello, this is Mark Tanner, and this is my grandson, Connor Negretti. Say hi, Connor.
Hi.
He wanted to be on the podcast today.
He really did, too. And as you can tell, his excitement is palpable. Welcome to Flak. This, again, is my beautiful and talented co-host, Mark Tanner, also my brother, and Connor. Connor Negretti.
Yep.
So we're all going to discuss ghost shows today. And, well, some of us are. And we're going to talk about spooky stuff. Mark is well versed in the history of the occult when it comes to World War II and that kind of thing.
Yes. I've done a lot of reading on Adolf Hitler and his band of loony cohorts.
Of course, if we'd only had my little sister our little sister with us, she would have smoked us both with her knowledge. But she's with us in spirit. And the only updates I can think of that we need to make are that our friend Nancy Kersey's partner, Kay, is doing much better, and they're off to go camping for a few days. So Kay, of course, is dealing with cancer, and but they've been longtime friends of this little podcast, and we wish them only the best. Now, we're changing everything over into a paranormal mode. We have all kinds of plans for the future. We hope to have a really good guest next weekend. Her schedule is also shifting.
Did you get a camera for me?
Did I get a camera for you? We already have a camera.
Yeah.
Where?
It's in the cupboard.
Camera.
Where?
Oh, he wants his own little...
in the cupboard.
Ask Daddy to look for it. It's a red RCA video camera.
Does it still work?
And you have a camera in your hand, Connor.
Does it
Yes,
still
you do.
work, though?
Yes, it still works. And you have a camera in your hand. You know you can take pictures with that phone. You do it all the time.
Camera?
I don't do anything with it. I bought it for Mommy when you were a baby so she can take pictures of you.
Yep. You were, believe it or not, you were once a baby, Connor. Anyway, I remember you were in my house.
Yes, he was.
Anyway, so we'll have everything wrapped up and all that kind of stuff. And next week, hopefully, we'll be more into the full format, and I'll have Mark's computer situation is much better. Mine is still
have that camera.
Yes, Connor, we still have that camera. Don't do that.
But what aisle is it in the cupboard?
It's the first cupboard and the top shelf. It's behind the towels, I think.
I didn't see it before.
Well, you haven't been up there. You're not tall enough to look at that cupboard.
It's up there.
But you have a camera right here. That has a camera in it. You can take pictures.
You don't give me a real camera. Give me a real camera.
It is a real camera. Here, you want a real camera, Gunner? Hang on. This is your camera. Daddy needs to put batteries in it.
But where
You
are
can
batteries?
you can't take movies with this. You can only take pictures. It doesn't take video. It's an old Olympus camera that I've had here forever.
Where is the batteries?
After the show is over, I'll put batteries in it for you.
Okay.
Okay?
And I'll remember your wishes when it comes to Santa Claus time.
He desperately wants a video camera. He wanted me to buy him a video camera where I work at. Well, you know, the cheapest one of our cameras is $10,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say you buy Connor one. Think about your old sister here.
But I like our cameras, but I'm not spending $10,000.
Not at $10K.
Are you going somewhere, Connor? You don't have to be on the podcast if you don't want to be right now. If you want to go do something else, it's fine. Close the door. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Connor. Say bye, Aunt Melody.
Bye, Connor.
He said it. I don't know if you heard him.
Yeah. I heard it. Bless his heart.
See, my grandson is autistic. He's very smart, good kid, but when he focuses on something like he is with that video game that he's playing on the phone, it's hard to get his attention. So,
yeah, he's a remarkable young man.
He's
as is his
extremely functional. He doesn't have some of the I've seen some of these poor kids that have autism that they can't really even converse with somebody. And Connor, you heard him. Connor can converse.
Oh yeah. Well, I worked with for 6 months up at the Nolan Center with high functioning but still disabled autistic adults, and Connor he's normal. You know, I mean, not that being autistic isn't normal. It is. The
hardest thing with Connor is Connor has a real fondness for the F word.
I know. One.
I lectured him, Connor, you can't say the F word on the podcast.
Well,
and I don't know if you saw, but he caught himself a couple of times. and he didn't say it, but he's a good kid.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it's not that big a deal because FCC although YouTube gets you in trouble, so we don't monetize, so that's one good thing. And
I mean, you know, if you get into the politics that YouTube disagrees with, then they deplatform you.
You dead in the water. Yeah, I know.
You know, and it doesn't have to be anything bad. It just has to be something they don't like.
Well, also, let's remember, my main problem with YouTube is that they allow these 13 and 14-year-old girls to have bikini shows.
Oh, yeah. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah. I mean, are you serious? I mean, the pedo...
If they make money off of it, they don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
There's all kinds of issues I have with YouTube.
But, you know, this deplatforming stuff, and you see what people don't realize, they say, oh, we have freedom of speech. You do not have freedom of speech on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, of course not.
That is like, you can't come to my house and paint stuff on the wall or the garage of my house because that's my wall.
Right.
Well, Facebook is their wall.
Yeah.
And if they don't like what you post, you'll go away. And that's the same thing with YouTube. It's the same thing with any of those. Twitter. Twitter's worse than YouTube.
Well,
they deplatform people left and right on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting because I don't know if you noticed this or not, but suddenly it's okay to be into the paranormal. And it used to be, I remember back before the X-Files, you were considered weird if you read about anything to do with UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, anything.
Well, what's happened differently is that people in the mainstream have come out and admitted to having seen UFOs. The government has
Yeah.
actually admitted that they exist.
Yeah, exactly.
The
And
Pentagon. The Pentagon released that footage of the fighter planes off San Diego with
yeah,
those tic tac. You've seen that footage, I'm
oh
sure.
yeah.
They released that footage. And what else could those be except for UFOs? We haven't got anything like that.
No,
I mean,
did
I
they could be
worked
better.
this. A lot of people say, "Oh, well, the B-2 bomber is really a UFO." I worked on the B-2 bomber. I worked at Northrop for many years. I've been up until the last 2 years. I've exclusively worked in the aerospace industry. So if there
Yeah,
was something going on, I would have gotten an inkling that something was going on. I still remember. You ever read The Midnight Sun?
yeah,
Okay, The Midnight Sun is like a lower level National Enquirer.
right.
And they posted this thing that said that in Pico Rivera, the B-2 plant, there were gray skinned aliens walking around the halls of the plant, and that's where all the technology came from. Well, I'm sorry, but I saw some pretty weird looking people working there, but none of them that were gray skinned aliens.
No, no.
I walked through every hallway at Pico, and I guarantee you, unless they
Great
were
skin.
hidden in a closet someplace, there were no aliens.
And let me say that as far as Edwards Air Force Base goes, I live not far from there, and my husband worked at Skunk Works for many, many years. They had no UFOs, none. They had the best they had is already known. So, you know, it it's I'm sure there's probably a couple of generations of other stuff that we don't know about, but nothing like a tic tac. And these creatures, I don't even think of them as vehicles. I think of them as creatures because they seem biological. If they're not, then they are a much higher system of physics than we understand. And they are sentient. And if all that can happen, anything's possible. And Skinwalker Ranch is an example of that, which, by the way, returns May 4th, I think, on its History Network. And so that will be fascinating to see. And hopefully, yeah, they've always come up with things. Somebody said, when are they going to discover something? Have you not been watching? They find stuff all the
Well,
time.
I'm a big fan of Dr. Stephen Greer.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Disclosure. Yeah.
Disclosure, the second Disclosure one, and the one about Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind.
Yeah.
That one's the one that kind of hurt him because a lot of people don't want to hear about meeting actual aliens. They believe in UFOs, but they don't believe anybody has met any of the. But if the UFOs exist, it's entirely possible one of them could have landed and somebody got out and talked to somebody. That could have happened.
Well, it did happen, in fact, in South Africa and one other country that I fail to remember now. But we have it, all kinds of testimony from the people who were there. So, I mean, if they honestly believe that a bunch of adults who were then children would stand up and lie through their teeth for absolutely no reason, I'd be pleased to hear why. But we have had contact between whatever is on. Now, in my opinion, I think the best theory is that these are simply us from a future time period and would explain why language isn't an issue. it might also explain why technology was easy to convey. And, every time I say something like that, I have a friend who says, "What about the Prime Directive?" Says, "Hello, that was a TV show."
I know that's what people. I see all these posts. Well, just to give you a little indication of how some people are, I was at one of the conventions. It was a Star Trek convention, and Patrick Stewart was there. And he was one of the speakers at this panel on Next Generation. So everybody's asking questions. It was real interesting. And finally, this lady in the back of the room gets the microphone. And she's all dressed in a absolute screen accurate admiral's costume from Star Trek. So she had spent some serious money. A lot of people cosplay, and they're not nuts just because they cosplay. It's fun. But she was dressed in this. And so she said to Patrick Stewart, she says, and she calls him Jean-Luc, which is his television name. And right. She says, "Mr. Jean-Luc Picard, I have a question for you." And so he kind of does a double take, and he says, "Okay." And she says, "I assume that the Enterprise is in orbit." And she says, "I would like to go with you when you leave." and he says, "I'll talk to you about it." He realized that she was not playing, with a full deck, so he was nice. Yeah. But
yeah, that's the unfortunate thing, is that fandom, as with all unusual venues of the mind, tends to draw in people who are a little on the strange side, as I am perfect example. But the people tend to most fans are just like anybody else. They
just like a TV show.
Yeah, exactly. And you show up and you watch a TV show. The only person. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish what you were going to say. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you finish.
Well, on Facebook, for instance, there are a number of Star Trek groups on there, and I've had to leave a goodly number of them because a lot of these people think it's real. Yep. They post stuff and they say, "Well, how could they do this, that, and the other?" And I said, "It's a television show. The writer said that was what was going to happen, so that's what happened." I mean, these things are not really happening. There is no Enterprise.
Exactly.
I mean, I wish there was. Believe me, it would be wonderful if we had technology like that. But there is no Star Trek Enterprise.
Well, and lest there be any question about it, go watch Galaxy Quest. And don't believe it, because it.
Well, the problem with Galaxy Quest is at the end, all the loonies were correct.
I know, but it is an extraordinary exception that's made in the movie. So it does make the point that most of the time it's not real. And went straight to the chompers. Screw that. Okay. Yeah,
well, you see that kind of stuff all the time. But why would they build it that way?
Exactly. Yeah. And why is there always 1 second until But
well, like on Battlestar Galactica, which I am currently started a rewatch of. Why?
The good one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why does the airlock not have an emergency stop button on the inside?
You'd think.
Because they're constantly putting the Cylons out the airlock, and a couple of crew members went out the airlock. Callie and I think when they were punishing the people that had sided with the Cylons, they put them out the airlock. Well, there ought to be a big red button that says stop that you can hit so they can't do that to you.
You think?
I mean, if I was designing it, there'd be a stop button.
Well, there's an example of how different Blake 7 was. In one of the episodes, one of the heroes, they think they are going to crash unless I forget the circumstances, but unless they eliminate this one person's weight from the ship. So Avon, who was the super logical one of the show, the Spock, he's looking around for Villa, who was the sort of ballast, to find him, and then he was going to throw him out
Connor.
Airlock. So,
Connor again.
That's good.
Connor forgot his drink, so he came back to get it.
Oh yeah, well yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, let's get to paranormal shows. And
all the UFO shows are technically paranormal shows also.
Yeah, oh sure.
Because paranormal is considered now. Let's keep going down the track of UFOs right now.
Okay.
We'll talk about ghosts too, but this is we're just on that track right now. As I was thinking about something. Do you ever see the TV show UFO?
Yeah, oh, sure.
Which was Jerry Anderson.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I'm a big fan of Jerry Anderson because in the time period he did it, his special effects were better than anybody's. They were all done with miniatures, and a lot of his people that did the miniatures ended up working on the Death Star in Star Wars.
Yeah,
a lot of his people, and they did great work. And he did a show called UFO. It didn't have any actors that in the U.S. you've ever heard of. They had that white-haired guy who was the star, but I've never seen him in anything else. I don't know if you have.
Probably.
And but it was an excellent show. I mean, and it was about the military. It was obviously set in England, and that their military knew these aliens were coming here, and they were bad guys, but they looked like us, the aliens. I don't remember though. I don't know if you ever saw them. I don't think you ever saw them.
I don't think you did.
Yeah. Well, the one, and then after UFO, The Invaders.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Invaders was an excellent show.
Yep.
I mean, it didn't last very long. Just lasted a couple of years. I liked David Thinnis. Or Roy Thinnis. He played David Vincent. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I got the names confused. And, of course, the narrator for the show, I don't know if you know who that was. It was William Conrad.
Yeah, okay.
Now, William Conrad was well known at the time for playing Cannon. Yeah. And he was a chubby guy, had a great voice, and he narrated a man without sleep, stops at a deserted diner, and there he saw them.
Yeah.
The invaders.
And they had something with their hand, right?
Well, one of their fingers couldn't separate from, it was like this.
Oh yeah, okay.
And he could always tell it was an alien because their fingers were together.
Oh, something like this, huh?
Well, not quite like that. These two fingers still moved.
I got you. I'm making a joke.
And I mean, the plot, it was great. It was almost as good as Gene Roddenberry came up with the transporter and the things that saved them a ton of money producing the show. Mm-hmm. And the same thing with the invaders. The reason nobody ever believed David Vincent is that when the invaders died, their bodies disintegrated. Remember, they glowed red and then they went away.
And then they dissolved, yeah.
So nobody would believe David Vincent because he kept telling them about this.
All right. David smoking the good stuff again. Yeah.
And there were a lot of UFO shows. You know, it's funny, you see these UFO things. They did one on the occult the other day, and it was putting the occult and UFOs together. They were discussing it. And they said, all these different groups that believe in the occult. And they showed this picture. And the picture was of the Grey Council off Babylon 5.
You want to look at their source, you know?
The Grey Council, it was supposedly a Mimbari, who was one of the aliens on Babylon 5, in case you haven't seen the show.
I have seen
it. And their ruling faction, or their ruling body, is called the Grey Council. And they all wear these gray robes, and they're under spotlights in a dark room. And that's what they had a picture of. And they were insinuating that this was some occult group. And in the same show, they showed pictures of UFOs. And one of the pictures they showed was of the Jupiter 2. Now, those of you not being science fiction fans, the Jupiter 2 was the ship on Lost in Space. And it was a saucer. It was a flying saucer. And they got some footage off the show and showed it on this thing.
And figured, yeah.
And figured nobody would recognize it from Lost in Space. So.
It reminds me of the episode of American Horror Story, or whatever it's called, that they had this doll they were calling Molly. And the doll they chose was Mrs. Beasley. And all of my friends were watching this episode going, that's Mrs. Beasley. What are they calling him Molly for? It totally distracted you from the... If they had just had somebody over 40 in production, they could have helped them with that. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, on The Twilight Zone, there was an episode with Telly Savalas. Mm-hmm. And there's a doll in this thing called Talking Tina.
Tina, yeah.
And Talking Tina was killing anybody that didn't treat the little girl correctly. And she and Telly Savalas is holding Talking Tina, and it turns its head, looks at him, and says, "My name is Talking Tina, and I'm going to kill you." Now, somebody in one of the groups identified the doll.
Oh.
And after that, those dolls got real valuable.
I'll bet, yeah.
But I forget what doll it was, but...
well, probably, if it was a talking doll, it wasn't one of the primary ones. But
well, you couldn't really tell if it was really talking or not, you know, because it could have just been put into the...
Back then, probably, yeah.
Yeah, because I doubt they would have gotten that good an audio off of a talking doll.
No, not back then, no. In fact, the current audio isn't that great with talking dolls. So.
You know, Melody and I had talked about this before. There's a fellow, I don't remember his name. He used to take these old talking toys, and he used to make a different record for them. And he would take them apart and put these new records in. Well, there were a lot of talking things. One of them he had there was Mr. Ed, talking puppet.
Yeah.
And the one he had, he pulled the string and it says, "F you, Wilbur." And almost almo-
out on all the good stuff.
and almost all the stuff he had was like that. It was like, oh my God, Mr. Eds had that. And he made these Bart Simpson dolls that looked like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen one of them?
Yes.
He spray painted the heads green and put the bolts on the neck, and he put a voice box in those too.
Yeah. Yeah. Every once in a while, one of those goes up on Shop Goodwill, and immediately goes for a ridiculous amount of money.
He was selling them for hundreds.
Yeah.
They were going for good money.
The Simpson collectors are,
Well, this was not a industry creation.
No.
This was something he made.
Well,
He modified it.
Well, you go to fan conventions, you see all kinds of things. They have these amazing action figures that are exact replicas of people playing the roles, and they're done by.
Oh, now it's amazing. So,
Yeah.
The best ones I've seen are the Karate Kid ones.
Yeah.
With what's it? Pat Morita, was that his name?
Yes.
And it looks just like him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see them. It's like, holy cow, that looks just like Pat Morita. Yeah. They did a really good job of that. I forget the company that made them, but they made a bunch of them. They used to sell them in the special area at Target.
Yeah. Well, they have. There are artists that do individual ones too, and they'll get every last actor who was in a movie and create them. So the one I saw from many years ago was speaking of which we haven't yet, but it was the entire cast of Altered States, and I mean back down to even John Larroquette as this little mini part he has in the movie. It was just really amazing looking at all this. But and R.I.P. William Hurt.
Yep, I was going to mention that.
Way
now,
too.
You talk about John Larroquette.
Yeah.
Now, John Larroquette's one of his early roles. I'll give you a clue. You said you were going to kill me. I'll kill you later. Remember that?
No. What's that?
He was in Star Trek.
Oh, yeah.
He played a Klingon. He was one of the ones working for Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, okay.
And he was the only one left on the Enterprise. And then when the crew came back up to the Enterprise, he after they had defeated Christopher Lloyd, William Shatner promised to kill him.
Oh, okay.
And then he says, "You said you were going to kill me. I'll kill you later." But that was John Larroquette.
Yeah. Well,
we're like, a lot of those people did sci-fi. What's his name that played the postman on Cheers? John Ratzenberger.
Yeah, Ratzenberger.
Well, he was in Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You remember what he played?
No, I don't. What is it?
And they come up to Princess Leia and they say, "We have to close the blast doors."
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And that's him. He's the one that tells Princess Leia they have to close the blast doors.
Yeah. That just shows you we almost everything goes to sci-fi at least once.
Oh yeah, well, John Ratzenberger was in I think it was Kelly's Heroes, one of those war movies, and he was one of the soldiers, so not a big role at all.
You look at an old film called the name of which escapes me, but there are a lot of old movies. You look in the background and you'll be able to see James Dean. He did a lot of bit parts, and they talk about his first movie was East of Eden. No, it wasn't.
His first starring role.
His first starring role was East of Eden, but his
I thought it was Giant.
no,
Giant was
Giant
later?
was
Oh,
last.
okay. Oh, it was. Okay.
Yeah, that was the last one. And he did a film called Has Anybody Seen My Gal with Rock Hudson, where he actually has a full scene where you can recognize him.
Now,
And
was it Rock Hudson the Giant? Who
yeah,
played the, yeah.
yeah.
So it's possible that he may have gotten the role in Giant because of Rock Hudson.
No.
No?
No.
Well, I figured since they worked together, he might have recommended him.
No, he walked up to him on the first day of shooting and said, "Hey, Mr. Hudson, we worked together before." And he looked over his head and then looked over at him and said, "In what?" So he didn't recognize him.
Oh, well.
But that's life.
But
anyway, let's.
we need to get to ghosts because we promised we would talk about ghosts.
We promised ghosts. So I saw, and when we talk about ghosts, we're going to be talking about the reality shows, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, all of those. And there are a ton of them now, and some of the smaller ones are better than the big ones. Although I have to say the reinvention of Ghost Hunters has been remarkable. They're using excellent high-tech equipment, and you can hear stuff, you can see stuff. And a friend of mine who's a physicist is actually watching all of them now, and he was a naysayer because he can see that there's stuff there that we can't perceive. So anyway, recently I saw a British series that was created by Zach Bagans, whom we know from Ghost Adventures, but I didn't hold that against it. It's called "Help! My House is Haunted."
That's cute.
And, yeah, and the first 2 seasons had, or 3 seasons, had Chris Fleming on it, who is an American medium. And unfortunately, I don't know what happened to him, but he was really almost unwatchable. And they replaced him.
Maybe that's what happened to him.
That was my thought. And then I read, and it was like, no, it was COVID. He couldn't come back over because of COVID. So they replaced him with a British medium, and the show got enormously better all of a sudden, which is too bad.
Have you seen that pretend reality show, that British, the BBC, with that chubby guy and the black guy?
Yeah,
where they're supposed to be
funny.
They're supposed to be cable TV repairmen, and they go to people's houses and they end up interacting with ghosts.
It's a takeoff on the original Ghost Hunters. They were in reality plumbers. They worked for Roto-Rooter, and they did the ghost investigation as a sideline, mainly because so many people were worried that they had ghosts. They'd go in there and it was a plumbing issue, and they'd fix the plumbing, and so, but they started doing investigations. Pardon me.
Well, there's a lot of those shows like that they're fictional shows, but they branch into things like the Umbrella Academy.
Oh, yeah.
That has a lot of paranormal connections with it. And Doom Patrol. Have you seen Doom Patrol?
Yes, yeah.
The show is a little, but it does a lot of that. There's paranormal connections with it.
It's there are anything that has demons in it. Unfortunately, it's hard to find a ghost show that doesn't have some. Oh, I think it's a dark spirit. No, it's a nasty human being.
Hey,
who is now in Go ahead.
If you like demons, I got a website for you. It's called mostlydead.com.
Ah.
And they sell the best appliances for making yourself look like a demon.
Oh, there
I
you
mean,
go.
these are movie quality appliances. Buy appliances, the little rubber pieces that go on your face. You glue them on, and then you paint them and make yourself look like Hellboy, or it's amazingly good stuff. So I know that's off the track, but if you want to do that for Halloween, or if you just like that stuff, mostlydead.com. And I got no money for doing that. I just like the website.
Yeah, he is not at all connected to mostlydead.com.
Now, if you want to pay me, I'll talk about this every week.
You'll be happy to.
I'll wear your stuff on the show.
Hey, me too.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, I hope you're keeping an eye on the time, because
it is 12:42.
Oh, okay, great.
I still have 18 more minutes.
Excellent.
I'm sorry, people, but you'll have 18 more minutes of us.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
just hang in there, okay? We got 18 more minutes. You get to be away from us. I get to eat.
I already ate.
Formerly fat ladies, although I still got 40 pounds to go. So. Anyway,
She's done an excellent job.
Thank you. Well, it's been a long day. It's been 3 years since my weight loss surgery. It's amazing. It takes time. Anyway, the other ghost shows that I like are Kindred Spirits, which has two of the original.
Never seen it.
Yeah, you should, because these are actually good shows. Kindred Spirits has two of the ghost hunters from the first group of ghost hunters on it, and Amy Bruni and Adam, whose last name I blanked on, but they're very good at what they do, and they actually get some of the best evidence I've seen on a ghost show, and good stuff. Ghost Hunters, the original, is now back. I like the new version better than the old one. I don't even watch Ghost Adventures anymore because it became so... everything was a demon. And I know I'm forgetting some. The new the Ghost Town Terror is fairly good. However, the ones I would most recommend are the Steve Shippey documentaries over on Amazon. They're the haunting of whatever, and not that weird show with Ken Russo, The Medium, not that one, but Steve Shippey, and he goes by he was a rapper, and his name was Prozac. But he's we don't know this stuff, Anyway, he did a number of just superb documentaries where he did the important thing, which is just letting the damn cameras run. And they picked up stuff that is clear proof of poltergeist effects, and I mean things that are there's no way to explain them. Now, of course, we have Skinwalker Ranch with a bunch of scientists running around saying, "Oh yeah, poltergeists exist, we know," which will give a whole new meaning to the skeptics over on YouTube. But
now, do you connect Bigfoot with the occult, or do you think Because isn't it just an animal?
No, not in my opinion. And
Okay.
Cliff Barrickman will be very mad at this if ever he deigns to watch this. But no, I think um, I
I've always thought of it as no different than an unusually shaped grizzly bear or
yeah,
something, you know.
I frankly didn't think it existed. I thought it was nonsense. But Larry has gotten into it, and I've seen a lot of evidence now, and I'm more inclined to think it's an actual unknown. But
Out of all of those things, that's the one I'm the most skeptical of
yeah,
is
me too.
Bigfoot. Because Bigfoot is 9 foot tall, walking around the forest. Somebody would have gotten a picture of him, a good picture, not
That
these fuzzy things from 100 feet away,
new
shot
blonde.
at night. You know, and that's the one thing about these ghost shows that I hate things that are shot with night vision.
Oh,
And
I know.
almost all of those shows are shot with night vision.
It's high end night vision now, though. It's a whole different kettle of fish. You should watch a couple of the more recent ones. They have
I
some.
watched I watched one of those where they were looking for Bigfoot,
Oh, okay.
and they had gone out to the forest and they had strapped like 30 of these GoPro cameras with Wi-Fi things on it to all the trees out there at night, and they taped over the red light so you couldn't see that the camera was there and on, and they shot footage for like a month and got nothing. Now, if there was really a Bigfoot out there wandering around, I think 30 GoPro cameras would have caught an image of it.
Well, as I always say, there were two intelligence officers from the United States government, representatives of the Pentagon, who were out at Skinwalker Ranch and who saw a wolf man.
Well,
So
you
I
do
think,
realize that military intelligence is an oxymoron.
yes, I know. But I'm saying there are scientists out there seeing weird stuff. So I think we're talking about a multiverse thing. I think there is something we don't understand about reality, and I think we've been told a nice tale packaged up for the masses. So anything like that, I think we're talking about something paranormal. And I think Bigfoot has to have some aspect, because every time you have a Bigfoot sighting in an area, you invariably have a UFO sighting.
Well, that's why so many people link Bigfoot to UFOs, and they think he's an alien.
No.
Well,
No.
I'm sorry, but if you were an alien and you're flying around in this spaceship, would you be all hairy and naked?
No. And you wouldn't smell like that either.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I just find that that was a. Now you know that Dr. Stephen Greer has lumped the occult with UFOs big time. He says you can actually contact a UFO.
Oh, I know it's all
by meditation, and you can connect. Now, okay, back to ghosts. Now, one thing I did a lot of reading on this week was the Nazis and their association with the occult. Well, I guess Hermann Goering was into it, and the one that was really it was Heinrich Himmler.
Yeah.
Now Heinrich Himmler was like, I mean, Mr. Evil. He was worse than Adolf Hitler.
Oh yeah.
And now, and one thing kind of interesting. Tell you a little story. Towards the end of World War II, the Italians overthrew Mussolini and threw him in prison, him and his wife. Well, Hitler wanted to rescue him, but he didn't know where he was. So Hitler recruited a bunch of dowsers, and they used their little pendulums over a map, and they were able to pinpoint exactly where Mussolini was, according to the story. And now the Germans did find him and rescue him. So how that occurred, I don't know. But according to this, they found him using the occult.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, it's magic is any sufficiently developed society, their science would be indistinguishable from magic. So,
Arthur C. Clarke.
Yes. And I think that's what we're seeing here. Our future selves possibly coming in and trying to keep us from getting barbecued by nuclear annihilation or something. But who knows? I mean, that's what we're here to find out, I think. Oh, 2 minutes. Okay.
8 minutes.
8 minutes. Okay. And I was going, what am I missing?
No, it's 5.
5 plus
and
3. Okay. Our number this week is 8.
Yeah, we have to get you a countdown clock. You know, one of those big ones to put on the wall.
Yes, definitely.
You can start it when
on the iPhone 13. I cannot see my clock. So
now, did you get just the 13, or did you get the 13 Pro Max?
I don't know. I think I just got the 13.
Does it have 2 cameras or 3?
3.
It's a Pro Max.
Oh, cool. I know. Well, it was less expensive than I was expecting it to be.
About $1,200 for the.
Well, I got it through Spectrum, which means I can
you pay $30 a month or something like that. Yeah.
So it, I think I did the fast payoff thing, so we're paying $100 a month or something like that. I'm cheap.
Well, if they don't pay me interest, I'm paying the low.
Oh,
amount.
There you go. Well, the anyway, yeah,
back to ghosts.
8:00. But if you're looking to look into the ghost shows, I would highly recommend going over to Amazon if you have Prime and seeing Steve Shippey's shows. He's excellent, and the best thing about him is he'll straight up tell you if something's fake. So he's not a Zach Bagans. He's not that Zach does anything fake. He doesn't. He's just irritating. And I think it's my age and becoming irritated with kids.
DM me a list of shows I should watch.
Okay, I will do so.
I have almost all the streaming services.
Oh, cool.
I spend way more money than I should.
Well,
I have Hulu, Tubi, Apple Plus, Paramount Plus, CBS All Access, which is the same as Paramount Plus now. I have Amazon Prime. I have Netflix. And I know there's a couple of other ones I'm forgetting. But
is he?
Oh yeah, Disney Plus. Absolutely. That's the best one.
Oh, it is.
If you haven't seen The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett, watch them.
Yeah.
If you like Star Wars, you will love the Book of Boba Fett.
I don't like Star Wars, and I like the Book of Boba Fett. So
It was very well done. The special effects are highly above what you'll see on normal television.
Yep.
They were theatrical.
Well, also
quality.
we sat there and watched stuff that's out. We saw Red Panda, or what did
Connor loved
Red.
Connor loved the Red Panda.
Yeah, me too. And we saw all kinds of stuff on there. You know,
Connor loves some of these things that I've never even heard of. You know, he would say, "Oh, Rob gone wrong." So, what the hell is Rob gone wrong? It was a Disney thing about this bubbly looking ghost creature. He was patterned after one that used to be on Scooby-Doo or
Ghostbusters, maybe.
No, it was a cartoon.
Oh.
I think it was Scooby-Doo, and they patterned it after that. We have 3 minutes, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Now,
All right.
Melody gave you tips about some ghost shows to watch. Now, since I've been talking about UFOs, and I am probably a lot more knowledgeable about UFOs than I am about ghosts, let me tell you, if you are skeptical, watch Unacknowledged.
That's superb.
It will freak you out. You'll watch that. The only thing I wish they didn't do is I wish they didn't use that Ray Charles song at the beginning.
Oh, I know.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. That the sea of green, red rose, and they showed that dead kid on the beach. I was like, I could have lived without seeing that. But they were trying to demonstrate that our society is pretty screwed up. So, and that the aliens were looking to help us. So, but that's a Dr. Stephen Greer.
Yeah.
He comes off as far more believable and trustworthy than most of the hosts of these things. Peter Coyote did one. He narrated one of them that was pretty good. But there's a number of. There's two of the Unacknowledged. There's Unacknowledged, and then like Unacknowledged, the sequel, or I forget what the actual name of it is, but it's pretty good. UFO Hunters. That's a good show, but it's hard to find. It's not on a lot of places, and it was about a 8 or 10 episode, one season show on hunting for UFOs, and they never got anywhere. It was Kelly Bullfrog Ranch. Was it Discovery? Okay. Yeah, that's the other one I have. I have the History Channel Vault and Discovery Plus.
Yeah, Discovery is required in my house.
Well, I used to like to watch American Pickers until Frank left the show. And then it's just that tattoo girl is just not as good as Frank.
All right, kiddo. It's time to wrap things up.
We have 1 minute.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'll let you go. We'll go ahead and close it up. I'll play the intro on the way out.
All right, sounds good.
Sound good? So say goodbye, and I'll remove us.
Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody. See you next Sunday at 12 o'clock. Be there or be square.
Or